Hello and welcome to Mikeonai the Talk, my new video podcast where I will be diving deep into the wonderful world of artificial intelligence and exploring the latest advancement, the breakthroughs, all with a special focus on the Microsoft C365 ecosystem. And of course, we will be discussing the future of work and how all these cutting-edge technologies are shaping the way we work and live. So let's start with the first episode. Have you ever thought about integrating Chat-GPT into your Office applications like Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, Excel? Well, you don't have to wait until Microsoft will publish Copilot 365 because there's already an Office add-in on the market. It's called Ghostwriter, and the developer is Patrick Husting from Redmond, and he is my first guest in the first episode of Mikeonai the Talk. Hi, Patrick. Good day.
Hi there. Hi, Michael. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for taking the time. I'm here in Berlin. You're in Redmond, so we have 6 hours time and 9 hours time difference. And for you, it's good morning. For me, it's good evening.
That it is. It's amazing we can do this in real time.
Yeah. Patrick, you're a developer. You're an expert for Chat-GPT and for creating Office add-ins. Could you please introduce yourself a little bit more so our viewers and listeners can get you a little bit more known?
Sure. My name is Patrick Husting. I have been in the software industry for 30 years. I may be dating myself. I am no expert. What I am is I'm a guy with a lot of needs. And I like software, and that's one of my ways of expressing my creativity and getting out some of those ideas. Early on in my career, I did work at Microsoft. I was in their consulting services organization. And then I was very fortunate to catch a lot of the big waves from, the beginning of personal computers to the internet. I helped build some really large websites that are out there today. Like if you ever bought an airline ticket, early on in the 90s, this is probably on code I wrote. And if you shopped online, at least in the United States, Nordstrom is a very popular retailer. I kind of helped build their website, and then I left and did a really large .com that went .bomb. And but it was really the shift of online real estate with the one called eHome. Then I jumped into big data and analytics before it was a cool thing. And I was right back at Microsoft being one of their partners or vendors in the business intelligence space. And so my company had the privilege of doing a lot of the analytics for basically all the business units you could name there: Windows and Office, Xbox, Zune, if you remember Zune.
Oh, yeah.
Their sales organization around the world, we did a lot of their analytics. We also did the analytics for the senior leadership team for Gates and Ballmer and their teams around the world. We're very blessed to have that opportunity to work with them and crystallize some ideas in mobile business intelligence. Built a solution, and my company got bought out. It was a great venture, a lot of fun. And then you could say probably almost the last 7 years, I got horses. As you can kind of see some horse pictures in the background here. Those are my horses. And I created a horse app, if you will. It's very popular in Germany, and it's called the Equestrian app. And it was kind of like, it was just me, myself, and I enjoying it. And I stumbled upon AI essentially at that point. I was struggling with some programming tasks. And so you could ask the AI to write code for you. So I did, and shocked at what it could create. And so I kept going. But one of my horses up in the corner there, that one up there, is a Clydesdale, and they kind of they're predisposed to having a genetic issue in their legs. So I was just trying to study that. And when I would Google all the health-related articles on it, I just could never understand it, right? It's very medical. So I asked Chat-GPT to explain it as if I was basically 15 years old, and it did. And I was personally overwhelmed by that. by its response. And so I was doing all this research now in Chat-GPT, and I was copying and pasting and putting that into Word. And we all know that when you do that, the formatting just goes crazy. So then you spend half your time reformatting your Word document. So at that point, I basically thought to myself, I want ChatGPT in Word. And so it took me a month to figure out that web add-in framework. It's JavaScript based, but it really operates differently than normal web apps in JavaScript. So it took me a little while to kind of figure out my rhythm there. And I created it. And I had a very simple version of which I'm honored that you purchased very early on, and went with me on that adventure as I would learn from my mistakes and quickly update almost like every other day. I was putting out updates. But the day I released it, there's a tech journalist here in the Seattle area, GeekWire, Todd Bishop is one of the co-founders. And I sent him a note of what I was doing. And he says, well, when you release it live in the Office AddIn store, he says, if Microsoft will approve it. I thought that was kind of funny. He goes, I'll run an article on it. And he did. And that appeared at 6 o'clock at night. And I woke up the next morning to hundreds and hundreds of messages in my inbox of people purchasing. I was caught off guard. I'm not an expert. What I am is I am experienced. I have used this in so many different scenarios and ways, and I've literally talked to thousands of people around the world via email or Teams or Zoom on trying to understand their workflow, trying to mimic what they do to put it into this add-in. And so I'm not an expert. What I am is I'm just experienced in a lot of different ways of using it. It's pretty, it's life-changing is what it's going to be.
I think that's my impression as well. You're from Redmond, from the Seattle area. Do you know the movie Disclosure from 1994 with Michael Douglas and Demi Moore?
I don't remember the movie. Yeah, I remember the name.
And they have a quote there. It's one of my favorite movie quotes. It's at the end where Donald Sutherland says, "The Chinese says, 'May you live in interesting times.'" So everything, and I think the times right now are very good. When I think 3 months ago, Christmas last year, I haven't no idea about ChatGPT, just heard a little bit. And then between Christmas and New Year, I sat 2 days on my computer and start trying ChatGPT out. And afterwards, I was completely overwhelmed and said, wow, this is something I never expected with the technology, with the easy way how you can use it. And if you are really going to understand how that's a chatbot, so you have to really ask some questions and react on the questions. So this is a way you have to communicate. It can really help, and it was really overwhelmed about everything that's coming back. And then I saw in January popping up, we have done this one and we have that one, and so on and so on. And I think, wow. And then Microsoft invested in the OpenAI platform. I think some fantastic yards from not how much they invested. And so I think, wow, when this gets connected to Microsoft 365, that might be a really cool stuff. And so I think you inspired with the Ghostwriter, that's your plugin, you inspired Microsoft to create the Copilot 365, I think, right?
Yeah, I'd like to think it, I'm just one man here in my, house and built this thing myself. And I'd like to think I beat 1,000 developers, 1,500 managers, 2 testers, and, a bunch of other attorneys at Microsoft to market with this solution. I can't say I've inspired them, right? They only invested $10 billion to buy access, to getting it in there. And I get that question a lot. One of the first questions I was receiving was, do you think Microsoft will approve this in their app store because it would compete against them? And well, I really never thought about that, but They are a monopoly. They essentially are, right? They're the biggest boy in the room, and they can turn on and off
Yeah.
things that, or they can turn on and off partners and vendors and competitors at will. They
Yeah,
have the ability to do that.
but on the other hand, you already said you're an experienced, not a specialized developer, but an experienced. What you see, what people want to have, and when I see, wow, there's a cool technology, and I want to get the results that I got on my Chat-GPT browser. I want to get the results into, but I have to store it anywhere, so I have to cut and paste it into Word. What? So why is there integration? And when I saw some video clips on YouTube, I'm not a developer as well. So wow, it seems to be very easy. You have to connect to OpenAI, and if you know how to program an Office add-in, that might be a good idea. And then your tool come in, and I think maybe it's a good idea just to show our viewers what your tool can do. Let me
Yeah,
so
you know,
let me
let's
switch
show
here.
the
So this is a Ghostwriter. So maybe first of all, you should maybe say some more details about Ghostwriter. What is it, and what can you do with it?
Yeah, so Ghostwriter, real simply, it's an add-in to the Microsoft Office application, so Word, Outlook, Excel, and PowerPoint, and it allows you to interact with the OpenAI Chat-GPT service. I've also wired it too in the background. I'm still waiting access for like Google Bard to have access to their API. So in theory, you'll be able to switch between the different AI systems within my add-in,
Mm-hmm.
and that I think will be a great thing. But when I first created the very first version of it, and it's only been 2 months that it's been out, so beginning of February, it was basically a little bit like a chatbot. You could put in your prompt and get a response out varying lengths, and that was about it. What I've learned over time and really interacting with everybody, which is, the feedback is fantastic, is it's less about chatting with the chatbot, because when you're using it for productivity or knowledge work, you're going to spend a lot of time preparing the chatbot to create what you want it to create, right? And so when you make that first question, you might get 10% accuracy coming back. So Ghostwriter has grown, in the version that's out there for Office today, is you have the ability to have personas on there. So you can say that you're a college professor, and there's about 6, 7, 8 sentences of content that go up with your prompt that basically prepares the AI for who you are and what you're going to ask for.
Mm-hmm.
And even the writing style, you can say it's academic, and you can output it into Spanish if you want to do that. So what I've done is, you're not necessarily having a chat. What I'm doing is I'm going to help you prepare quicker to talk to the AI, so you get higher accuracy on your first ask. So you might come back 70% accuracy
Yeah.
instead of 10.
So maybe it's a good idea we give a little demo. And
Demo.
I have, of course, I'm very pleased to do the demo for you, so you
Yes,
can see
that's
how
fine.
an quite experienced user of your tool is using it. So here I have opened up the Word from Microsoft 365. So it works on the desktop version, on almost any version right now, right?
Yeah,
Integrated.
it'll work on Windows and Mac on the
Yeah,
desktop versions of
I'm
Office.
on Mac right now.
Yeah, and it oh, you are. And it works in the web browser. So, any platform there, even Linux, if you're running Linux on the web
Yeah,
browser.
I'm currently
And
opened. I have opened it up in my web browser in Chrome on Mac,
yeah,
and
and
I have
the
added
bonus
the
app.
add-in, and the add-in is here
That's cool.
integrated into the Word and the Office application, and then it opens up this pane here on the right-hand side. This is the Ghostwriter front end, and here's the settings box. And in the settings box, maybe you want to explain.
Yeah, so in settings that's where you're going to be able to configure chat, or really configure Ghostwriter for the different AI solutions that are available that are out there. So I'm still awaiting approval from Google Bard, and then also Meta has
Yeah.
they also have a service that's out there, and I can guarantee you Amazon is working on something also. So when they release, I'll be able to turn those on within the app, and you'll be able to flip between those different AI solutions, which I think is a great end solution for everybody.
Yeah.
You just won't be stuck with what, one company will give you.
So, and then here
And
you can switch. When I'm on OpenAI, I can switch between the different backends. And since yesterday, ChatGPT 4 is there right now.
Yeah, that was nice. I got an email around noon or lunchtime yesterday, and about an hour later, I turned it on within the plugin or add-on and deployed it to everybody that have it. And then I sent out a message to everybody. But OpenAI has many models to choose from. Each one has their own kind of specific use case. And so some of them are really geared, a couple of them are really geared towards research or kind of higher education. So I have a lot of professors that actually live with some of the other models all day and every day. I think on ChatGPT 4, that will change that. But
Okay.
yeah, so as they release new models, which they will do probably every 6 months, you'll just be able to go in there and select your favorite. Maybe one works better than the other.
So I have selected right now the newest one, and then response length. This is, I think, how much you will get back from OpenAI.
Yeah, and so this is one of the things that is the most fun to play with, and that is there's a term that's used quite a lot about ChatGPT hallucinating, and what's happening is you're giving it a lot of data and you're asking it for a long response, and it really can only process so much. I find that it's really good at about a page worth of information, and then if you're feeding it more than that, the data that comes back is a little bit not accurate.
Okay, so I'm taking normal right now. Then we have the temperature, and this is kind of how much hallucinating or how much creativity ChatGPT puts in his answers, right?
Yeah. So the closer you are to 0, the more fact-based it is, and every response you kind of ask will basically be the same. And then if you put it up to if you put it at 0.7 and up to 1.0, it gets weird.
Okay.
And it's facts. It's going to tell you things that when you read it will look like a fact, and it's just plainly false.
Okay.
So I always say with the disclosure that everybody should read thoroughly what it produces before clicking send or save.
I think that one of the biggest advice one can give to people who are using ChatGPT: read the answers and check and do fact checking.
Read and verify. So I can give you a story there with the temperature. I have a microbiologist that's been using it very heavily, and he would come back with these. I can't even understand what he's producing. It's so scientific. And then he asked me one day, he says, well, how can I get the citations for this or the references for this material? And so I just guided him on a prompt. I said, well, at the end of your prompt, just say, please give me the references or citations for this. And he did. And then it came back and it gave him all those citations. And he goes, this is fantastic. And then he says, I know this organization. They're actually located in the Netherlands. Great. So he sent them the document and he asked them, can you please verify that these are your citations? And they came back a week later and they said, we fully researched this and none of these is related to us.
Yeah.
And that, that's a little concerning. He did have the temperature up at 0.8, but it was so convincing even to a scientific person that it was accurate. So again, you really need to fully research or really tune that temperature down.
So for the demo purpose, we use the golden middle 0.5 and try to do it. And then the OpenAI key, because your add-ins are directly communicating with the OpenAI platform. And until I think 2 weeks ago, I have to enter my own OpenAI key. But then you had a good news from Microsoft.
Yes, they gave me an OpenAI grant. So they gave me a bunch of money for 6 months. And so it basically opened it up for everybody. And actually with when they released GPT 3.5 on the API for everybody, I saw the processing costs drop by 80%.
Yeah.
So then it could actually become a viable business besides the grant that Microsoft gave us, which was wonderful.
So
But in that open API key field is actually important. So if you're just an individual using it, use my key, have fun, have at it. But if you're an organization, so if you're 5 or more people or 10 or more people, and you're a law firm, let's say, I highly recommend you go get your own key and use that there, because OpenAPI does cache those prompts for 30 days. They really don't say what they do with it.
Mm-hmm.
If they're reanalyzing it, or I don't think they're using it down into their model anymore. But after 30 days, they start to destroy that data, day by day. But if you want complete privacy with your prompts, then I would recommend getting your own API key. It is very inexpensive. They have Chat-GPT Plus, and I don't know what that is, $20 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
You could spend $20 as an individual on their API service, and that would last you 6 months to a year easy.
Yeah. So currently, I don't need the OpenAI key for the next 5 or 6 months, but definitely for security reasons and for business stuff, you really should think about to get your own API key on OpenAI and use it there.
We'll talk about security later and privacy and my thoughts on that. But
yeah, okay. Okay, so then I click save. So the settings is now okay. And I have already created a prompt here, a little bit advanced prompt. So I just copy and paste it here in the prompt window. If it wants to copy and paste, let me see. Sometimes it takes longer. Copy and paste. There it is. So, and now you already mentioned it, you have built in a lot of personas. So one of the main advices for creating good prompt is first to tell ChatGPT in which role he should answer this one. And so I'm going here maybe as I want to have 3 compelling ideas for a post on LinkedIn about the challenges of modern work and 3-sentence long abstract on the topic for each title. I think I go as a social media influencer.
That's one of them. Yeah. Or if you were a technical expert in a field, you maybe wanted to come out at that word too. It's really, the neat thing about it is you can switch between them and run the prompt and see the differences and choose what you want.
And if you have some ideas as a user, we can email you and give you another idea what's missing. I think just a trainer, a really software trainer or so. I'm still looking for that.
Well, you got IT manager there, yeah.
IT manager.
I don't know if I got a trainer on there.
But of course, it's I want to go as a journalist right now, and then you can also create the tone of how ChatGPTs are active. So should it be what is behind the styles? What are your experiences with the styles?
When we write, there are different styles that we write. So you can write in a very analytical, very succinct to the point, or you can write in, one of my favorite is, I tend to be very outgoing. So creative or convincing style, which just changes the language that kind of comes out. And so again, you're going to play with it depending on the mood and what you're writing. You could select creative there, and you're doing a social media post, right? So you want it to kind of stand out, kind of creative there.
Okay, and then I can create, choose the language. Let's talk about the gender just in a second. I want to start right now. I want to send the prompt to OpenAI, because with ChatGPT, on my experience, it took 30 or 40 seconds for me until I get the answer. So meanwhile, we can talk about the output language. So when I'm ready with all that, I said, okay. And now you see the little circles here rotating, and now it's sending it to OpenAI. So let's talk about the language. What's your recommendations for language? On my experience, the best way is to communicate in English, and if you want to translate it to German, then do it later on maybe in DeepL or one another stuff.
Well, at this point, I'm really not doing anything with it. This is a direct conversation between you and OpenAI servers. And I'm fascinated by the different languages right now because I don't know how many people in different languages are using it today, but there's your response already.
Oh, it's faster there. Yeah, but finish it. Come. Yeah.
Well, I have individuals in China using the add-in, and they're typing in Chinese and getting their output in Chinese. And I'm not doing anything different, to be honest with you, to do any auto detective language or anything like that. And it's just working. If you ask Chat-GPT what languages it supports, it will tell you. And I don't think it supports Chinese, but it does work in Chinese. So I don't know what to believe there. But it seems to work in whatever language you put it in as.
I really get good results in German, but on my experience, when I think when I create a prompt in English and translate it to German, and then send the German prompt there, it's something. I think the English one is better, a little bit better.
That's fascinating. Well, yeah. Well, OpenAI is in the Bay Area of California. So.
Yeah. So, but now your add-in is ready. So it had sent to OpenAI. It communicates directly with OpenAI. There's no middle layer between my front end and OpenAI, right?
Yeah, there's nothing I'm doing. The only thing I'm doing, like on the personas, writing style, and the language, I am appending to your request that information. So the personas are rather lengthy in the background because I put a lot into that actually to try to stage it and get it ready. And then the writing style is pretty straightforward. But the nice thing about this is you didn't really have to do anything to prepare any of that. You just type your prompt and go.
So, and now we see, yeah, and now we see it's ready. Here we have my 3 titles. No, I got only 2. No, 3 titles. Yeah, there's 3 titles. And the first one is Navigating the Maze, Overcoming Today's Workspace Obstacles. Oh, yeah, this sounds pretty creative. The modern workplace has become a complex maze filled in challenges professionals must overcome. In this post, we explore the most pressing issues, such as remote work dynamics, mental health, the ever-changing role of technology. It's for me as a German, when I'm reading it, it sounds like really good English.
It's fantastic is what it is. And, as a journalist, really, it doesn't matter who you are. We all experience one thing when we sit down at that computer and we're going to begin our work. And that is writer's block, right? Where do we start? Where is that creativity spark? And it's nice that you can almost put gibberish. You could put a sentence in there that doesn't make any sense, but contains about 4 or 5 keywords of what you want. And it somehow interprets it, gives you a response or content back, and that gives you your start.
Normally, when I'm on the website of Chat-GPT, when I'm doing the chat, I have the Chat-GPT has the context of my conversation. Does it have here the context, or is it just send and get back?
I am not storing the context of your chat communications. I can, but to be honest with you, I get a little bit uncomfortable with that because then I'm holding your private information of the discussion you're having with the AI.
Yeah, but I think for me it's great. In fact, for our interview today, I made some suggestions what I can ask you, and it was created just within the Word document with your with the Ghostwriter add-in, and it really gives great results, just ideas, what you can do and what you can ask it, and it's really helpful as a tool, and as it now really integrates into Word document, it's cool. Maybe we switch to that one because Word is one of the add-ins you're providing, and this is your website, the ghostwriter-ia.com, right?
Yep.
And here we have all the different add-ins. Would you tell us a bit more about the other ones, Outlook, Excel, whatever, and the Pro edition, because by Word you have 2 different editions.
Yeah, so there is a basic edition because there's a lot of folks that just want to, basically step in a little bit and give it a try. The Pro edition gives you, the personas, the writing styles. It gives you much more control, the temperature, the response length. It allows you to do more.
Mm-hmm.
The Outlook edition, if you haven't tried it, it's scary, is the way I kind of put it. And the reason for that is it helps you compose and replies to the email. And this is a great story because I did this the other day. I was on a call with a room full of attorneys. So attorneys love this Chat-GPT thing right now. And so I'm taking them through a demonstration of Outlook. And the attorney he sent me an email to prepare for the conference. And so I said, well, let's respond to his email in real time. So I highlighted his email. I clicked that little action button and I said reply. And we waited all of maybe 5 seconds and it wrote a reply to his email. Everybody leans forward to read it. And then they all sit back and they basically put their hands over their mouth and they said, that's 100% correct.
Yeah.
They were to write a reply. And so then another attorney says, humor me. Do you have an email that has a lot of length in it? Meaning there's maybe 10 or 15 replies in it, where you're going back and forth on a business email or something like that. I said, sure, I got one. So I bring up that email. I select the entire body of the email and I said reply. And so we waited probably about 30 seconds because it's analyzing the entire email. It comes back 100% accurate, which was scary. And then in that action drop down, because one of the other attorneys quickly said, well, I have a few of these emails that are really lengthy. Can I summarize it? And I said, sure. And so in that action drop down that you had just a second ago, mm-hmm. there's a summarization. So it would take the 15 emails that were in that one email, those responses, and summarize the entire email.
Oh, I really have to try. I haven't worked with the Outlook add-in so far, just for some testing. But I really have to do some more stuff with that.
Yeah, it's scary on how accurate it actually is.
But
okay, and then there's also Excel and PowerPoint.
Yeah.
So Excel, I think we all struggle in Excel when it comes to creating formulas or how to do something. So basically in English language or German, you could ask it to create a formula based on something you want to do. Mm-hmm. And in the response box, it will give you the formula. Or if there was some VBA code that you wanted to write in the background of Excel to automate some functions or maybe some data editing, you could ask it to do it and it will do it. It's pretty amazing. One of the neat things that I've discovered using it is there's a template. So you have your prompt box and then there's a little template selection and you could say, I want sample data. And then you could tell it the kind of sample data that you want. Let's say you want give me the 10 states with the largest population. And it will come back with that. And you could paste that into the cells and be done. It's handy.
Yeah. And that was one of the cool features of ChatGPT, to create sample data for Excel and really complex stuff. I created some, we did some hackathons online with teams with 100 people, and I wanted to automate it with some PowerShell scripts and said, okay, I need some demo data, and said, okay, create me 10 different teams with 5 members from this one and that one, and it created a really big CSV on the web front end. And I think, wow, this should be directly moved into Excel, and this is something you can do with it. It's really cool for that one, and especially for doing for creating the right formula. It's really helpful.
It's very helpful because the formulas can be difficult. And then PowerPoint, PowerPoint's a hard one. I saw the Microsoft Copilot demo, and it's going to create slides for you, and I'll believe that one when I see it. But we all tend to be a little bit wordy in our PowerPoints. And so its ability to maybe take your key points or some paragraph of data or content that you have in there, and you ask it to summarize it into 3 bullet points, you could do that essentially. Take your wordy. The PowerPoint's a little tougher. It's not as exciting as maybe the Word and Outlook are, because those are your typical content generators. Then I offer an Office bundle. So if you just want to get them all at one shot, you'll save a bunch of money, essentially. And these tools work in a very across generic.
And I want to add something. This is a one-time fee, right?
Oh yeah.
No subscription or whatever.
One-time fee. Yeah, and so I've been in software a really long time. I'm really sick of the subscriptions, and I'm really sick of getting nickel and dime for everything. So I went a bit old school, and I just basically said, buy it once, you're done.
Yeah. So, but it doesn't end here, because you have professional add-ins, and I think that might be a really interesting add-on on the whole stuff.
Yeah, so what's happened now with all these discussions that I'm having really is Chat-GPT is fantastic for what I'll call the individual request. I'm thinking I need this, and then here you go. But if we want it to work like we work, it needs to be molded into that fashion. So the first version I released is the consultant version, because I have a lot of consultants using it to create content. So it basically works and acts like a consultant, of which I've done for about 30 years myself. And it is teaching me things I had no idea. Mm-hmm. So the terminology of a consultant is in there. The roles of all the different types of consultants are in there. The content that they're creating are in this. So it's very much set as a consultant mindset. So there's a lot more than just the traditional Word add-in that you saw before. And I have, 1,000 professors using this add-in today. So, and their request is it needs to act more like a professor or a teacher, if you will, right? And so help with grading and plagiarism and content generation and reviewing essays and thesis work. There's certain terminologies that they use, in the educational space. So it needs to work like them, save them time. And then legal, there's probably a dozen professions I'm going to release now. But in working with all the attorneys that I work with today, again, there's lots of different types of attorneys or lawyers, right? Yeah. They work on certain content. They review certain cases. They have their own workflow and terminology too. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to mold that profession into an add-in inside of Office.
Would you, one question, would you integrate some kind of templating? Because when I have, where I can put my prompts in, that I'm using on regular basis with different variations?
Yes, I get that request a lot. There's, like people will email me personas that they would like to add. So I'll have it done here shortly, but you'll basically be able to create your own custom personas and prompts and just select it from your own library.
Yeah, so this is the offering. Everyone can buy it on the website, and you already mentioned the topic of security and privacy. Oh, yeah. I think this is something we really have to take care of when you're using all these chatbots and whatever. So what about security and privacy with the Office AddIn?
Yeah, this is very personal to me. So again, I'm an independent developer. It's me, myself, and I here. And I'm essentially going up against the Googles, the Microsofts, in the productivity space. The difference between my add-in and what they have producing is security and privacy, which means when you buy my add-in and you install it into whatever Office app you're using, it's a direct one-on-one conversation between you and the AI. I don't see it. I don't store it. I don't save it. I don't mine it. I'm not going to sell you anything based on the prompts that you put in and the responses. That is 100% opposite of what's coming from Microsoft and Google and the other ones. Mm-hmm. They see everything that you do and they're going to mine it and they're going to sell you other stuff and they're going to sell it to the highest bidder. at the end of the day. This technology can be, is well, not that it's going to be, it will be revolutionary for everybody. And everybody should have access to it and feel good that their personal chats and private information isn't going to be sold to the highest dollar.
And I think when you communicate with OpenAI, it is good advice not to send confidential material there. So because, as you already mentioned, things are stored there with 30 days, right?
Yeah, we don't know what they're doing with it yet. You know, they were an open company. Remember, Elon Musk started the company originally as open source because AI should be in the open domain. And now, over the last 6 months, they're going private, right? You know, Elon stepped out a few years ago because of their direction, and then Microsoft puts in $10 billion. And it's a commercial venture, and if they're giving it away for free, you're the product, right?
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily agree with that. I'd rather pay a little bit and keep my information private.
Yeah, and we saw 2 weeks ago the announcement from Microsoft with the Copilot 365 and what they trying to do with that one, the integrating, and I think it's really cool stuff because it's beautiful. Not only because it's the front end and how the integration is, but it's based on all the data stored in Microsoft 365. So you have your own data pool in the Microsoft ecosystem, and they put the models there and enhance it with the Office graph and whatever. So I think it's a really cool move. And when what they showed, I think there will be they will have all these features in kind of way. This was a really great enhancement to the Office 365 environment. But I think it will be premium features, of course.
Well, it has to be premium. That's what they showed was amazing and beautiful and fantastic, right? It's the only way you can describe it. It was very animated, and it was very controlled. And I have yet to see anybody post. I've been around Microsoft for a long time. I have yet to see anybody post anything else other than that demo that they showed on there. Usually you'd have somebody internally who works on the project and would post one of their usage videos somewhere. Nothing is posted. So it's a wonderfully animated demo that they showed of what the future possibilities will be. When they will get to that, I have no idea. I think when they show doing the business chat and then adding a document, and it will take that document, look at your writing style, and produce a new document from it. Taking a whole document of more than 2 pages or 4 pages or 10 pages, the AI hallucinates very well. Mm-hmm. So it's not really a live use case today. It doesn't work. So they're showing future technologies, and I've actually talked to one company yesterday. They have 1 million Office licenses, and they've been hammering Microsoft saying, how do we get access? How do we get preview? How can we plan? And they can't. You know, nobody can show anything.
But I think we will see advancements in a very shorter time than maybe on other products. Well, I'm from the SharePoint ecosystem. I know it's just 22 years ago yesterday when SharePoint was launched, and I think the first 10 years was very horrible. The next 5 was and now currently when you look at the SharePoint, it's good. But I think with all these Copilot 365, it would take 2 or 3 years. But I think at the end of the year, we will really see some kind of integration in the platform. And when I look on my MVP colleagues and the ecosystem and on online resource and YouTube, I see so many people developing on this OpenAI platform, integrated in Power Apps and integrated in Excel, and use it to automate something. And so much creativity that people are really creating their own stuff and integrating into this model. So I think there's such a big energy there that we will see, I think, relatively short time, some kind of results.
Yeah, there's millions of people, right, creating just amazing things every day. It's fun to watch. I think, if we went back to the security and privacy concerns, if you look at, and also some of the news on ChatGPT 4, how it can pass the bar exam, right? And so if you're
Hmm.
an attorney, you can pass the bar exam, which is amazing. So if we put on a conspiracy hat, if you can think about, if I'm a law firm that has all my content and knowledge on Office 365 that is consumed by the AI models that Microsoft has control and access to, what stops Microsoft from becoming the biggest electronic law firm in the world?
And when all the
Without
pharmacy
offering
consultant
private.
and pharmacy companies and all the tech companies using it, and the
Yeah,
biggest,
it's a fascinating privacy concern, right?
yeah.
You have all that information, all your company data, whatever that company might be, you have all that information stored in the Microsoft cloud or the Google cloud or whatever cloud. While your agreements, basically, you sign the ability for Microsoft and Google and Amazon to index that content
Mhm.
and use that content, right? So it's a fascinating privacy, security, society question, right? With Elon Musk and all those executives basically say we need to pause for 6 months because we're just all running at it as fast as we can without thinking about the long-term effects. It's a fascinating society discussion we're about to have.
I think that's what I want to talk because Elon Musk published with his thousand others this open letter yesterday where they requested a 6 months delay on everything just we can think about it. And I think that this might be really, really, it might, oh,
There's a cat. Sorry.
yeah, on the internet, cat contents always works. That's cool. What's the name of the cat?
That is Phoebe.
Phoebe, okay. Yeah, so I think even for me, it's when I see how many announcements came, and then maybe there will be Chat GPT App Store, and when you look into Midjourney and all the other stuff, say, wow, how much information! Nobody has the time to really test it out, see what's working, and what it has the consequences for privacy, for security, for do we want to have to share our data with such in such a big manner, and how do we work with fake news in that one, and
Yeah.
how do hackers do that one? So I think that's really a big concern we have to deal
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, I think you said it earlier. These are very exciting times, right? The technology is amazing and it can be used for such wonderful things, absolutely wonderful things. And on the opposite side of it, there's going to be a lot of people using it for very dark things, right? It's just kind of a human nature thing. The cat's out of the bag on this one. So them pausing for 6 months, I don't even see how that's possible, right?
No.
Microsoft laid off or fired their entire AI ethics team. What does that say? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
You know, do you get rid of them so you don't have to explain what you're doing? I don't understand that at all. And so I don't know. This year's it's going to be a fun year.
Yeah, I think so. So maybe my last question, even if you said you are not a full-time developer, but what are your experience and maybe your advice for other developers who want to start to work with the ChatGPT, with the OpenAI platform? Do you have any advice you can give to them?
You know, this is just kind of like the internet. And, when the smartphone finally arrived in a useful form, um, there's so many opportunities to use this new technology for good things, to help people and move them forward. And we're really just limited by our imagination, right? Um, I work well in one space because I know that space. I'm talking to individuals that are working on the mental health crisis that's kind of going on around the world, and there's not enough mental health providers. So, how can they use this technology to kind of supplement some of that? So, we're really, this is a new opportunity for everybody. the examples are out there for them to begin experimenting with. You can even go right to Chat-GPT and ask it to create you the code for it. I do it. I'll admit to it. This add-in was created with the help of Chat-GPT.
I think that it is really, it's a really valuable assistant on your side. You can, for me, I'm not good in writing English. I can understand about, but when I have to write maybe an abstract for my session or for a workshop, I now write it and then I put it in ChatGPT, make it better, rewrite it, and so I got really good readable English text, and so it's really helpful.
Yeah, it can be used for everybody. I don't think there's an industry or profession that can't be helped by it. And so if there's developers on your team, that are watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, there's many opportunities based around the experience that they have for the last 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, that they could take this technology and apply it to and maybe create a new business. I think I created a beautiful accident.
Yeah.
And I had no plan for the success of this add-in. I had no idea it would do what it did. And it's a wonderful mistake. And I'm so happy that I've had this in my life and I get to meet great people like you because of it.
And I'm happy that you have the time to talk to me. It was very interesting and I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for taking the time. And definitely, I want to call you again, maybe in 2 or 3 months, and we see how your platform is developing and what your experience is with all this stuff. I think we have to talk about it and to exchange our opinions, our experiences, just to help all the other people to find the right way through this revolution.
Yeah. It's moving in real time. This is not something you can say, well, I'll look at this next month. Every day, every hour, I've never seen a technology move this fast across the world and affect so many people. This is an exciting thing. If you guys have the time, visit the website. Believe it or not, I'm up for Innovation of the Year by GeekWire.
Whoops. Where's my... sorry, I wanted to show the... Let me see.
That's okay. Yeah, that LinkedIn's fine. You can show my LinkedIn page.
Yeah, that was I've already wanted to show. That's I've really prepared. So, this podcast is always well prepared.
On my LinkedIn page, GeekWire has nominated me for Innovation of the Year, and that just blows my mind. I don't think it's very innovating, but what I've created has affected thousands and thousands of people, and for that, I believe in it. So I would love for people to go and come and vote, for me on that category.
And as your LinkedIn profile tells me, 5 days ago you had your birthday. Happy birthday again.
Yes. Yeah, I stopped counting.
Yeah. LinkedIn doesn't forget it.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Again, Patrick, here's my one. Thank you very much again for taking the time, and all the best with the Ghostwriter plugins, and hope we see us sometime again.